You're listening to Backstage Leadership Conversations, brought to you by the Digital Tourism Think Tank in collaboration with Abu Dhabi's Department of Culture and Tourism. I'm Nick Hall and I'll be your host for the series. So join me as I take a global view on the exciting trends and developments happening in the MICE sector, with a multitude of truly insightful leadership conversations from truly global perspectives, all recorded right here in Abu Dhabi. Throughout this series, we'll be discussing sustainability, events for impact, horizon technologies, and considering the implications for business events and the wider sector. So if you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, be sure to do so now, wherever you get your podcasts. In today's episode, we're excited to bring you a thought-provoking discussion with James Latham, the producer of The Iceberg, which is presented by the Joint Meetings Industry Council. James is a veteran in the business events sector, and indeed, he's dedicated his entire career to curating impactful storytelling within the industry. Today, James will be sharing his deep insights on the pivotal role that professional and business communities can play in fostering social, economic, and regenerative impact. We'll explore the transformation brought about by recent global challenges, the critical importance of sustainability in events, and how business events can act as a catalyst for innovation and societal change. Stay tuned as we delve into James's compelling perspectives on why face-to-face meetings remain indispensable, the future of the business events sector, and the unique opportunities ahead for places like Abu Dhabi. Whatever your perspective, James's expertise is sure to offer some valuable takeaways. So let's jump straight in.
I'm the producer of The Iceberg, which is presented by the Joint Meetings Industry Council, which is the sort of United Nations of the business events sector. And our role really is to curate the storytelling of our industry, not so much as a consumer economy in relation to tourism, which is a bucket that we are trying to get out of, but actually the value that's created when we convene professional and business communities. And those impacts and legacies that result from events have significant bearing on the transition to a knowledge and creative economy, both in social, economic, and regenerative terms. So we're the storytellers, and we're looking to illustrate to government that we are not so much a vertical in tourism, but that we are a meta sector of communications that can impact on health, innovation, economic driver, catalyst for change. That's our mission.
So we've been through a pretty challenging period, and of course we see light on the other side now, perhaps with some challenges still remaining. How would you define the current moment we're in now as an industry?
I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I think that COVID was good for our sector. It was a shake-up. It was a much-needed shake-up to perhaps illustrate to ourselves, but also to others, that actually convening people face-to-face is the most powerful way to achieve meaningful impacts, outcomes, and legacies. We were sleepwalking into a sense of righteousness, and now we've come out into an era where sustainability is a priority, and we have to justify those meetings, both in terms of the carbon footprint that we create when we deliver large numbers of doctors and psychologists, engineers, to a conference, and we have to focus very much on illustrating the handprint that mitigates the impact we have on the environment, because the naysayers of climate change have been proven wrong, and if we cannot illustrate that we are part of the solution, then it remains that we will be a part of the problem. So my biggest takeaway from the post-COVID era is that we have to invest an awful lot more in identifying what those incomes are, the incomes, the economic direct impact, but the social impacts, the environmental impacts, the economic drivers of change that improves society.
So when we think about meaningful events, this is something that's really important as a justification, as you mentioned, to hold these events in the future.
Absolutely. You meet for a purpose. And if the only purpose is to maintain the financial sustainability of an organization or a professional community, that is not enough. That is absolutely not enough, and they deserve to fail, and they will fail, because the next generation, your generation, Nick, will not tolerate it. They won't travel because they're much more sensitive to the planet that we are leaving them.
So when we look at Abu Dhabi, we see huge ambition. We see major projects which are just transformative in every way. Where would you say the opportunity lies for Abu Dhabi? And what excites you most about what is happening here?
Okay. I've been coming to Abu Dhabi on and off for 20 years. So I was one of the first people to actually film the construction of Ferrari World. So that dates me. The infrastructure is amazing, absolutely amazing. You know, from Etihad through to, the hotel stock here is world class. It's probably the best in the world, actually. But it is also the newest. And that's fine. That's great. And people are traveling and spending money and contributing to Abu Dhabi's, growth. And Abu Dhabi's using sporting, cultural, and business events to forge an identity in key sectors. And what I like about Abu Dhabi is the fact that it aligns so clearly to the 2030, 2040, 2050 visions that emerge. So we've actually got a much longer term strategy that's using business and professional events as a catalyst for capacity building in sectors that they've identified. And I think the real opportunity now is in education. So we are seeing increasingly the emergence of universities. And universities are absolutely key because they are, if you like, the stepping stone to that knowledge economy. Because, at some point, it may not be the case that we have such a flourishing petrochemical industry and that we're going to have to rely on alternative sources of income. And I think education is one of those. But I also see education as the first step to a knowledge and creative economy. And I see the second step as the association sector. I'm very pleased to see that within the UAE, Dubai is a member of the Global Association Hubs Partnership. So there is the immediate opportunity to drop anchor in the UAE as an association. And that will have a positive impact on the ability to bring conferences, congresses, and conventions from within priority sectors into the UAE, and then use that as a platform for adult education, and continuous learning. Because, when university is done, you need that education. And that's what associations do, because that's the way the world is.
When we think about talent and capability and skills, it's a very interesting place here because you have a lot of talent, the best talent, in fact, being brought in from all around the world. But there's also a growing recognition to invest in local capabilities, opportunities, skills, and develop that upwards as well. And as you say, the events sector is really a catalyst for being able to test bed ideas, but also grow those skills in all those different areas, including innovation, which is one of the most important areas to drive that transformation. How do you think Abu Dhabi can foster and harness a focus on that to really be a leader in the years to come when we think about these more pressing challenges?
Well, you've just described business events as a capacity builder. That is, going back to the previous point, it's very much aligned to the vision of the UAE and of Abu Dhabi itself. You see Abu Dhabi as a sort of, for example, as a financial hub. And the fintech cluster itself is also quite strong here. It's a stepping stone. Everyone says, business events are responsible for attracting knowledge, investment, and talent, and those are the three pillars of a knowledge and creative economy. That's what drives innovation. The conversations that are taking place out there today, following that amazing opening keynote that we had here, are all centered around innovation. It sparked ideas. And I think what James said there was, he said that that these conventions are catalysts for conversations. And let me tell you a story. I was at the ICA Congress in Krakow last year. And at the time, the Russians had just sent some hardware over and hit a nuclear power station. And everybody was thinking, good God, this is going to be serious. And there was a conversation between the head of the Convention Bureau from Copenhagen and the chief operating officer of the World Energy Congress Council. And they were talking about the fact that would it be possible at the moment that the war is done to bump whoever's got the World Energy Congress, bump them 1 year so that we could take the Congress and all the expertise and knowledge and supply chains to make sure that we had a resilient energy supply reinstated in Ukraine. Now, and the answer was, yes, we would. And that reignited my faith in the professional association marketplace, because I thought now we have organizations that profess to be all for purpose and not for profit, and actually putting that mission, which is to ensure resilience in the energy supply chain and the transition towards a renewable supply, and actually put it into practice. And they were prepared to bump a Congress so that they could actually make a positive impact in the place that it's probably most needed. That's what these events are all about. They're catalysts for conversations and for change.
I think that's so well put. Now, today you're going to be addressing the audience here, and what will your key message be?
Very much what I've said, that we have to look at every event as an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is the stuff that's easy to see. It's easy to measure. It comes in bed nights, revenues, profitability. It's all about the direct economic impact that can be derived from a visitor economy. But then we've got to go back to right to the beginning. Why are they here? What is the purpose of them being here? And then we go below the waterline, and that's a lot harder to measure, because if you think about an event, it may well be that they want to advance the treatment of cancer. And I'll do it by way of a bit of storytelling. So way back in 1994, at a genital warts congress in Canberra, there was a man there called Dr. Ian Fraser. And he was researching the HPV virus that accounts for 40% of the incidence of cervical cancer in the world. And at the same conference, there was an American professor who was also speaking, but he was researching from diametrically the opposite direction from where Ian Fraser's team were working. So they collaborated. It was an accidental collision, never even met before in their lives, but they met at a conference and they collaborated and they brought their mutual research forward 10 years to the point where they developed in 2004 the HPV vaccine that is now readily applied to boys and girls all over the world. Now, you look at the research globally, 10 million patients suffer from cervical cancer in the US alone. Of those 10 million, 9 million will be treated and survive, and 1 million will die. Multiply those numbers by 10. You've just saved 90 million women any form of treatment. You've saved 10 million women's lives because of an accidental collision at a conference. And also, you don't have the loss of productivity to the economy because those women are still working. You don't have the healthcare costs because you haven't got to take them through end of life. And you don't have the orphans and all the other spillover consequences of such tragic death. Now let's stop talking about how many beds and how many restaurants were deployed around that event in Canberra in 1984, and let's celebrate 10 million lives saved and 90 million not being treated in the US alone.
Wow, that's so powerful. And I think when we talk about KPIs, you've just thrown it all out. And
it's all below the waterline. Above the waterline is about value consumption. And if you're in tourism and hospitality and travel, that's fine. Tick the box. But nowadays, let's focus on the handprint, the social, economic, and regenerative handprint that can be delivered through these events, because then we'll have a defense to the next generation. And we'll be able to say to them, no, our handprint exceeds that footprint. We have social license to operate as a sector.
James, thank you very much for sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
In today's episode, James Latham has helped us to examine the profound impact of the business events sector. We looked at the strategic importance of storytelling in redefining the sector, emphasizing its important role in driving global knowledge, but also the creative economy. He also candidly discussed how the challenges posed by the global pandemic have served as a wake-up call for the industry to prioritize sustainability, but also to justify meetings with measurable and positive impact. James also discussed how Abu Dhabi positions itself as a leader and a long-term strategic visionary thinker, using education and associations as pillars for a knowledge-based economy. He shared powerful stories, including an enlightening example about the development of the HPV vaccine, demonstrating the life-changing outcomes that can stem from professional conferences and collaborations. It seems clear that the value of business events goes far beyond the immediate economic benefits, where the capacity to forge global connections, advance knowledge, and drive societal progress is as much a key factor as the immediate economic impact events create. You've been listening to Backstage Leadership Conversations. Be sure to hit subscribe to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. If you're enjoying the series, why not take a moment to leave a review or get in touch and let us know what you think. Discover more industry insights by heading over to our website, thinkdigital.travel, where you'll find lots more interviews, podcasts, case studies, and industry research, all at the click of a button. Thanks to the Abu Dhabi Department of Culture and Tourism for making this possible, and thank you for joining us today.